Hello, good evening. Welcome to another episode of Easy 8's Online Painting Club. My name's Danny. For the next 2 hours, I'm going to be sat here with you painting my miniatures. My pile of unpainted grey, shameful plastic is slowly starting to erode and give way into painted miniatures, and I'm really happy with the progress that I've been making so far. If you're new here to the show, Easy 8 is not about a tutorial show. It's nothing like that at all. Maybe you'll learn something on the way, but that's not the intention of it. There's loads of that stuff already out there, and if you're looking for that sort of stuff, you should go and find them. But as you're here, you should stick around for a little bit longer, because this place is just about creating a social club for people to come along, paint their miniatures, or just do their hobbies live with some company, me who will succeed and fail along the way, make some friends with the crazy guys over here in the live chat, and hopefully get some stuff done. That's kind of the whole point of this show. So yeah, if you like what I do here at Easy 8 and you like being a part of the community, please do consider subscribing. We're at like an epic number of subscribers, but we shouldn't stop there. Like, I want to make the community grow. I want to make it bigger and bring more people in and share the talent and share the passion for the hobby of, you know, miniature painting or any hobby, really. It doesn't really matter. It's about bringing nice people into the community. So if you like what we do, please do subscribe. The button's just down there. I'll tell you what would be really nice though, if you wouldn't mind just giving the video a thumbs up as you're there. I'll give you a minute. Cheers, thanks very much. I really appreciate all the effort that everyone goes to helping make this community grow. It's become a hobby within a hobby. I love it all together. It helps me create a couple of hours every week where I know I've got to come in and spend some time doing my hobby, and I think that's really valuable. I'd love to know your thoughts on it. Maybe this isn't for you. Maybe there's something I could do a little bit better. Tell me all about it. I'd love to know. And if you're just enjoying it, then you can also let me know too. You can say it over here in the live chat. You can pop it down there in the comments. If you want to follow us, not just here on YouTube, we're also on Facebook, Instagram and Discord. Links to all our platforms are just down there. And if you want to join me on Discord at the end of the show, after the show rather, you can do. And join in with everybody else who's probably going to come along as well at the Easy 8 after party on Discord. Why have I suddenly started struggling to say that again? It's not scripted. Whatever. Who cares? Who have we got in the live chat today? We've got Table of Horrors. That's Shiv. Hi Shiv. How you doing? We've got Kez. Hi Kez. We got Jeff. That's my dad. You should go and check him out. He's really talented and he's got Purple Lion Creations. He will make you anything you want for your table scenics. Little link down there. Shameless plug. That was all right, wasn't it? Hi Dad. And we've also got Overlord Games. That's Grant. Hi Grant, thanks for coming along guys. We've also got Adrian as well. How many subs until the cats come in? 7 more, you're absolutely correct. 7 more subs until the care package. Thanks, I really appreciate that. It's totally unnecessary, but that's really kind. Thank you very much. Yeah, love that. Yeah, that's who we've got in the live chat so far. Brilliant, thank you very much for coming along. If you are working on something this evening, I'd love to know. Come and tell me all about it. You can either drop a line in here in the live chat if you want to. Maybe you're watching back retrospectively on the replay. That's also fine. I read everything, so do drop us a line if you fancy staying in touch. That would be cool. Overlord Game Store says, we love Purple Lion Creations. The Breakout Manor was astounding. It was astounding. You're absolutely right. And if you want to see that, head on over to Facebook. Like I said, there is a link just down there. Go and check it out. It's awesome. Right. What am I doing this evening? Last week I started doing my little, they're not little actually, they've got quite large bases on them, but my miniatures for my Sicaran army. We'll do a close up in a second, obviously, don't worry. I'm really enjoying these. I thought that they will be a nice little piece to do. There's only 5 of them in the unit, unlike the conventional 10 roughly that you seem to go in. You seem to see in a lot of Warhammer stuff. And as I started painting them, I thought, oh, these actually look a little bit intimidating. I've started blocking in the colours, and perhaps not as intimidating as I first thought. There is a lot of detail. There's actually a lot of videos out there on YouTube that you might want to go and check out. What Are You Painting Now? It's a really good channel. They do a lot of shorts, and they talk about, is detail creep the right word, the right phrase? But basically, when a miniature has too much going on there, it can confuse you, it can be intimidating. And I certainly fall into quite a childish notion of wanting to apply a different colour or a different thing to every tiny detail. But actually, details don't need to be painted individually. They can be all painted together in one thing, in one colour, in one style. And then the details kind of well, they're just details within that in that thing, and I really need to get used to that. I've been doing that, of course, for the last several projects. Is trying to not just get carried away by painting everything, but it's always tempting to want to go a little bit too far. You don't have to do it to make it look cool. The models are insanely cool. Let them do the work. Let them speak for themselves, you know? So yeah. Oh, do you know what? Let's just not waste any more time. Let's just go and check it out. I'll take you over to the workbench. Before we go there, though, Table of Horror says, can I just randomly praise Jeffrey? Your scenery is absolutely amazing. Oh, look at that. A little bit of love being shared in the live chat today. Love that. Kez says, working on a building. Tell us more. I'd love to know. Cool. I'm going to take you to the workbench. Here we go. So I wonder who noticed today that the background music started before the intro music. Who liked that? That was accidental. I mean, it kind of worked. I made it work. Right? Is that a new? Shall I do that? Is that a new thing that I should do? It's kind of fade it in. Pure accident. I think it worked. We got some hearts that are being randomly slapped in there. If you're Dave, do it again. Just spam me a load of hearts, because I know that Dave Lester normally joins the show. For some reason lately his phone is struggling to watch or to join in on the live chat, but can hit hearts. There's a little bit of a delay, so I'll give it a second. If you're Dave, spam me some hearts in that live chat. I saw a few go in. Little sip of the old tea there. Maybe it's not Dave. Okay. Maybe like he's watching like intermittently. Maybe he's been abducted by aliens. I'm so sorry. Okay, here we go. So, look, I've got these 5 guys here. Not 5 guys, like, you know, the restaurant chain. 5 guys. And they've got a little leader who wears a cloak. Oh, there it is. There it is, look. Dave, if you can hear us, give us a sign. Give us some hearts. Give us some more hearts. It's Dave. Hi, Dave. Dave's in the live chat too. So we've got these 4 guys and their leader who wears a cloak. Love it. I love the striking orange. I love the fact it's just on one. It kind of makes them, I don't know, feel a bit more... I don't know what the word is. I just like it. It was. Love it. And as you can see on this one here, I've been blocking in some colours. I remember last week I was struggling with the auto zoom. So if any of the video or even the sound bothers you today, please just say, and I will do my very best to kind of correct it. You can see here, there's a lot of detail in there, and I think Grant mentioned it a second ago. It says, Danny, the amount of details these days are a real double-edged sword. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I wonder, because I've got swords here, if you're trying to do a play on words that I just haven't cottoned on to. But you are correct. There is so much stuff in there that it leads you into a temptation of wanting to identify it by putting a different colour on there. But actually, like, you know, there's loads of stuff. I think last week I used this really stupid, really pathetic example of my shirt. Has lots of details on it, has buttons on it, and they're all painted the same colour. I could have picked out any number of things that has lots of detail and that's all the same colour. And as I'm saying this, I'm struggling to think of some. What an Egypt. But you know what I mean? You could just probably pop outside the room that you're in, find an item that is the same colour with lots of different details and patterns all over it. And yeah, you don't see all the different things painted. It would just get too noisy. So yeah, just trying to keep it simple. So what I've done on here so far, so I've painted his bodysuit. I was calling them overalls on previous models, but actually looking at it now, it is kind of a bodysuit because I've painted the back of his head, and I quite like the idea that it's got like that sort of tight leather, sort of, you know, pseudo goth sort of feel. I made pseudo goth up as a weird sort of thing in my head. That is probably like the wrong term, but whatevs. So he's got some arm stumps, he's got some leg stumps with obviously like bionic appendages, and you can see that it comes around the back of his head. And I wanted to paint his mask a colour that was different, so I've gone for the crimson colour. The crimson, if I was to get one of my other models up here, is actually on the inside of their cloaks, their cloak lining. They're not Martians. I always call them Martians. They're not actually Martians, but they do pay homage to Mars. So they paint the inside. So they have the colour of Mars on the inside of their cloaks. I like it. I would never have chosen orange and red, two colours to kind of go with each other. This is definitely not using the colour wheel for, you know, inspiration for colour works. They clash, but I like it. It works. So I didn't want to paint orange on these guys. I thought crimson would be a really nice colour on here. But I think it looks quite intimidating. I think it looks quite scary, spooky. I am going to stain it, make it darker, you know, highlight it a little bit so it stands out a bit more. I want to draw a little bit of attention to the face, and hopefully some glowing eye effects might work really well. Grant says, I was. Yes, okay, cool. I totally missed that social cue. I'm very awkward. I'm so sorry. Okay. As you can see, I've also started painting in some what looks like a goldy colour in there, but some careful attention will tell you that that is a very out of focus right now. Come on. Any second now. Any second. There it is. That's actually Brassy Brass. Yeah, I've actually managed to finally include it into one of my models. As you can see here, I've started painting like just front plates of his armour. Oh, come on, stay in focus now. Wait, I'm going to go to the autofocus function. I'm going to do it manually. Don't make me do it manually. There it is. Okay, cool. Stay there. Yeah, you can see that it's almost like front plates that are like attached to a silver bit. Actually, I think just to kind of keep it simple, I'm just going to paint the whole torso, back and front, in brass. It's got lots of silver on there to accentuate that. I think that'll look really cool. We've got some pouches which I'm going to pick out in a different colour later on, like a khaki colour or something. And I'm going to keep the backpack silver, but with lots of different colours and things on it anyway. So that should go along with this feature here. Can you see? So yeah, it will look like that. Yeah. So the idea is to basically get all the others up to speed. So I think what I want to do, excuse me, I've got the hiccups, is to get all their torsos painted in Brassy Brass. And then I'm going to do all their overalls. All their overalls are painted in Sombre Grey by Vallejo Game Air. And they are all tinted with Blue Tone Quick Shade from Army Painter. The problem with this colour is, or rather the paint, not the colour, is that it's quite shiny. So if you look on here, you can see it actually has given quite a glossy sheen to the shoulders and the legs, etc. So I'm going to have to really pay attention later on to dull that down with some matte varnish, but that'll be at the end of its painting thing. Anyway, yeah, cool, I digress. OSL, I did that. Cool, huh? Thanks. Anyway, let's just get painting. So, no airbrush right now. I think what I want to do is get all of the Brassy Brass done first. So, where's my Brassy Brass? Here's some Brassy Brass. I also have Brassy Brass for the airbrush. It's much thinner. Some of the air paints are so thin they don't cover very well, so I've been gifted from a friend the game colour range, also in brush. It's actually slightly more paints for the brush range. They don't do as many in the airbrush range, but it has the viscosity to cover effectively, so yeah. Not that you needed to know that, I just thought I'd talk you through my process. I'm going to put a big old dollop of Brassy brushes down there that I can keep coming back to. And I'm going to use probably my number 0 brush. Kalinsky brush. I love a Kalinsky brush. Shiv says, I'm looking forward to seeing the cats. I had a cat named Minton, and every time he ate a shuttlecock, I said bad Minton. That is a terrible dad joke. Stop it. Why did the chicken cross the road? Because... Oh, that's so stupid, isn't it? Stop it. Why are we doing that? Yes, if you get me to 200 subscribers, and we stay there at 200 subscribers, not like, 200 back to 199. If we stay at 200 subscribers for at least a week, I'll bring my cats into the studio. And there's a lot more people out there than I think, who really want me to bring the cats in here. I can guarantee you, like, the first time that I open the door, they're not going to be there. It's going to be like an hour or two before they even come in, but I will allow them in. Yeah, and they will cause some devastation. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to take my own advice and not worry about the amount of details. I saw that the plates on the front of his chest were separate from the kind of rest of his torso and started to pick them out in the the brass colour. But actually, it's too much. It's too busy for the size of the miniature and for the amount of detail that's on him. It's going to be confusing and painful to look at. So, you just got to keep it simple, right? I think that this size brush actually is probably going to be too big. I think I might need to go to my 000. So, let's wash this out. There's a place for you, but it's not right here. Where are you? There he is. I've become so lazy lately, I'm actually storing all my paintbrushes beside me on the tabletop and not in my paintbrush holder, which is now quite empty. ADHD life. Hashtag. It would be a terrible dad joke if I had children. I don't, therefore it's just a faux pas. Oh yeah, I have children neither. So that is also very bad sentence structure, and I'll take a faux pas too. Thank you. Yes, I don't have children. I respect people who do have children. It takes a lot of effort and attention and skill that I don't have. I work with children, but I do get to go home at the end of the day. That's a massively key factor. Residential children's activity centre, and you get to hand the children back. Children are a great audience though. You know, growing up as a young adult, coming out of college and going into the real world, I was a fairly unskilled, unqualified, I wouldn't go as far as to say uneducated, I mean, obviously I went to school and know my ABCs, but an unskilled individual with no real career aspects in front of him, thinking that, you know, the next shop job would be the one. And I just wasn't into it. And one day I got a job working where I work now, and I've been there for nearly 17 years. Every now and again you just happen across something, right, and it just works for you. Never ever thought that I'd be working with children. And here I am in my middle years, still doing the same job. Being a manager, no less. Training other people to do the job that I fell in love with. Never ever thought that I'd work as a manager, training people to work with children. Crazy scenes. I love it. Out of this world, Models and Minis. Hi everyone, I found a minute to sneak in and say hello. I'll watch the replay tonight after work. John, hi John, thanks for coming along, mate. It's always lovely to see your name come up in the live chat. For those of you that don't know, John, Out of This World, Models and Minis, is in the States, and is a real swell guy, and paints cool things as and when he wants to, just chooses a new thing, and he's really, really awesome at it. And has just dropped a new video today. I haven't seen it yet. I only got home from work recently. I'm not going to spoil it for you. It's a very cool conversion. It's very licky. You gotta go and check it out because it looks awesome. If you want a quick, easy link to John's channel, go and check out the link that I put down in the description at the bottom of this video. Go check it out. Stop leaning away from the mic, says Jeff. Yeah, sorry, mate. I kind of have to sometimes. I need to reposition the mic, don't I? I picked the gain up the other week, and I think everyone liked it. I can pick it up a little bit more. Tell me how you feel about it. If I go here, is this too much? I can put it up a little bit further if you want, but I don't want it to pick up background stuff. But you tell me. Yeah. It's a better sound quality than the backup mic that I've got here. I think I just need to move it. I'm also not a sounds engineer, and I'm just not very good at placing them and setting them up. There's a lot of software stuff to go with it as well. I also have a habit of talking quite softly. barely. Oh, everyone's saying he can barely hear you. Okay. Headphones. Let's have a little look, so we just see what people are saying here. Perhaps it's the music that's too loud and drowning me out. I'll bring that down a little bit. Hopefully, that's like a little bit better and doesn't distract from the sound of my soothing tones. Oh, that's quite nice. Okay, cool. I will remember my volume percentages. 20% for the music. There you go. Ooh, that paint's going on a little bit thick. Let's clean out the brush. Get a bit of paint jam in there. To smooth that out a little bit. Is that a better volume? Is that a better ratio of, voice to music? You tell me. Spot on. Okay, cool. Love it. Love it. Let's find out. Microphone, 85%. Music, 20%. Remember those numbers. It should stay there, but, in the future. So this microphone here is mounted to the ceiling just above here to kind of give you some space to move around in. But I've been thinking about like repositioning the microphone over here. Obviously, microphones. There's lots of different types of microphones, but some are designed like to kind of pick up sound from like across a further distance. They're very expensive, so that's why I don't have one. This one here is designed to be quite close to, I suppose, in the podcast kind of a fashion. And I suppose if I move in nice and close, you kind of get those bassier tones. But when I'm a bit further away, you kind of lose that a little bit. And the further I go, it's not very long before the quality drops off. It's a budget microphone in an attempt to try to find quality, I suppose. I'm trying to improve it from the gaming mic that I've got on the side of my head here, which does the job. Like, you can hear me on that, and the first couple of years on Easy 8 was all about that microphone. Just try to improve it for everyone's enjoyment as much as possible. You may remember as well, like a few weeks ago, I was talking about the potential for setting up like a funding platform for Easy 8. It's never something that I've really put an awful lot of thought into, because Easy 8 is a hobby for me that coincides with the painting hobby. And I think it would be churlish of me to ask people for money for what I do. That being said, if people enjoy Easy 8 so much so that they would like to make it improved by paying money into it, then I think I'm good with that. I asked some people a little while ago, asked people what they thought of it. No one really had any strong opinions either way, which is nice. What I will say is that if anyone thinks that that's a good idea, I hereby online promise that I will never use that money as a personal profit. It would only ever be to enhance the quality of this show. It could be paint supplies, new brushes, new stuff that you want me to try out. Most importantly, I think it's about the quality of the delivery of it. Also, a really good quality microphone, perhaps. Or, and here's a really out-of-the-box idea, hiring a sound engineer to come into the studio and set it up properly for the way in which I use it. That might cost me a little bit of money. But all these little things, I think they go a long way to making the show that much more enjoyable. Just some thoughts. Is this down his way of saying he's considering selling his feet pics? That's disgusting. But yes. That's a good cup of tea. I don't want to sell my feet pics anyway, like it's taken me a long time to collect photos of other people's feet. I'm not going to sell them. Oh, that was funny. If only I thought of that straight away. Something I particularly like about all of these models is that while they've all got the same sort of overall design, they are all slightly individual. So their arm or whatever is ever so slightly different. Their face masks are all slightly different. All giving them a little bit of uniqueness, but still showing you that they're all the same thing. Jeff says, unless you got enough to buy a tank. I mean, if the community somehow rallied together enough money to buy a real tank, I don't think that would be a personal gain, solo personal gain. I think everybody would feel it necessary to have a go in that tank, right? That's dangerous territory, though, isn't it? That because the internet has proven in the past that it can do these sorts of things very quickly. If I set up a GoFundMe or a Patreon to buy a tank, I would probably inside 6 months have a tank, and I wouldn't have a clue what to do with it. So I'm going to be very careful on that. Need to underline that with humour only, please. I would love to have a Stuart, but I don't know where I'd put it. Anywhere, it's a tank. What to do with it? Drive it around and shoot things, obviously. Yeah, dangerous territory, that. But I'm already thinking of things that you could do with it, like proper things that you could do with it. Like, it sounds like purchasing an actual tank is straight up end game level. Yes, yeah, but I'm thinking we could go around, like, tour as an Easy 8 crew, all of us, do some educational trips, do charity work, take it to schools, paint it ivory and become a bridal carriage. Oh, the ideas that come to me that actually aren't all out there. Am I actually going to entertain this? Stop it. That's how you get on the news. Hobby painter makes friends online, buys tank. I'm actually genuinely considering it. What have you done to me? So here's a difficult thing that I'm finding. While I'm painting his torso, it seems quite difficult to sort of identify if there's some little wrinkles and stuff just in here, and if that is supposed to be his clothes underneath his breastplate armor, or if it's more breastplate armor, or if really enough attention was giving it to be a clear difference. And rather than sit here and pain over it for hours, which I will do, you just have to kind of make a decision sometimes, don't you? So just trying to paint up to the backpack thing that he's got on there, and there does seem to be, and it would make sense, wouldn't it? It does seem to be that there is like a bit of bodysuit showing out underneath there. So I'm just going to take this brass colour up to the edge of what looks like some harder lines where I would assume that would be his armour, and then there's some little wrinkles in there, and I'm going to paint that like the bodysuit colour. Like that. So now it looks like he's got brass underpants. Danny will be so long, and thanks for the fish. Yeah, will be. I need to wash my brush out again. I have to do this quite a bit. I think that paint is quite... it seems to dry or create a bit of a layer over the top of it quite quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop a small dollop of retarder medium in there. This is almost like a gel, and a tiny bit goes a long way. So I'll just put a little bit separate to the colour. I'm going to get a little bit more brass, because I've used a little bit there to spread it out, and it's starting to dry. I'm going to put another dollop of that on the palette there. I'm just going to mix those two up, and I might even add a little bit of flow improver, just so that it flows. Just these two mediums will help dilute the paint down a little bit, but I don't want it to go too diluted. And I also want it to not dry so quickly. So, a little bit of retarded medium. I have put a bit too much flow improver. It came out the bottle a little bit too fast, but whatever. Put another drop of paint into it. There we go. Feels a bit better already. Nice. Got quite a bit on the end of the brush. Okay, I'm just dreaming about having tanks now, like real tanks. Stop it, you've broken me. The Easy 8 military collection. Cool side hustle though, right? There is, I don't know if you can see very clearly, but on the edges of his shoulders, there's like rims, if you like. And I wonder if it's worth pulling those details out with a silver to kind of make them look like they're bordered with some like metal piping or something. What do you guys think? Should I just keep it simple, just paint it all brass, or should I line them with some silver? Is that adding a bit too much? Or is it an appropriate level of detail? Tanks are road legal here. Yes, yeah. I think any tank is road legal. It has to be deactivated in terms of its weaponry, and it has to have rubberized tracks. But if you've got money for a tank, you've got money for rubberized tracks. I wouldn't like to see the insurance for it, but yeah. Who am I kidding? As long as it's got air conditioning and seat warmers, I'm fine. Sat nav, yeah. Sat nav on the A set. Okay, that's another one blocked in with the brass. Trying to also not be too picky about it. Like, there's going to be some washes that go in there. I'm going to wash it all down with the dark grey that I always use, the Sicaran grey. I think it'll work just as well. So I'll hide a few errors here and there. Really, most of the inadequacies, struggling to say it, inadequacies that I see when I'm painting are at a distance when you're looking really close to it, and you've got to understand that most models are viewed from about 3 feet away, the 3-foot rule. So yeah, you don't have to overthink it sometimes. I see that Crumb Studio has joined us. Hi Crumbs, how are you today, mate? You alright? Evening peeps. Adrian says insurance for a tank would probably be quite cheap. Do you know what? Find me a quote on a Stuart. Do it. Also, why would it be quite cheap, do you think? Is it because it would be hard to get hurt in a crash, or because they're just, I don't know, hard to break into? We're talking fully comp, right? Not fire and theft. To be fair, you have to be mental to try to hotwire and pinch your tank. Plus, it's not like you couldn't find it. I left it on the driveway in the car. Also, not in danger of being towed away, really, is it? I mean, I know it could be, and I know tanks have been towed away, but, you know, it's going to take some prep. By that time, you could probably pay your ticket. There is a story, you could go and check it out on YouTube if you wanted to, of a gentleman, I believe, as a personal project in Germany, recovered and restored a panther in his own private workshop, and did a very fine job on it too. Germany, as you might imagine, have some very strict laws on weaponry and, you know, especially military stuff, and demanded that the armament on it was deactivated. And as far as I'm aware, I'm not entirely straight on the story, but he refused because he wanted to keep it as a true relic as he possibly could. And the I believe, I'm going to say the authorities because I'm not entirely sure who came to take it away, but it might have been the military, dragged it off his property and destroyed it in the process. Now, there's some arguments either way here, isn't there? There is the argument that says to the guy who did all the work on it, dude, it's precious, just deactivate it. But also, come on, all the work that went into it. It was incredibly distressing watching the video, knowing, even understanding in some small sense, the amount of effort that goes into restoring a historical tank. It was insane. It was a Panther, if anyone was interested. And it was a beautiful, beautiful tank. Like I say, I might not be entirely straight on the story. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, boring question for everybody, but what do you all store on your modelling bits, or your modelling bits in? When you say modelling bits, can you clarify a little bit? Are you referring to like tools, products, like sculpting stuff, paints? Are we talking like a bits box or something like that? From leftover sprue bits? What exactly do you mean? Not a boring question at all. It's part of the hobby, right? And I love a box. Oh, got it. Itchy head. Lovely. Christoulis has joined us as well. Hi, Christoulis. But what about pulling up to a date in a tank? Hop in my show and let's go for a spin. Yeah, I'd love it. I think it'd be great. But this is one of the things I was thinking about. Like, if you actually had a tank, think of the things you could do with it. It could be like a bridal carriage. I actually had that idea some years ago, buying a Kettengrad. And I thought it'd be great to paint it up in ivory white and actually turn it into a bridal carriage. I think it'd be great. Drive off into the distance in a Kettengrad. Yeah. Adrian says that the more claims against a brand of car and age group, the more the insurance. Hence why the teenagers with the Corsa's insurance is so much. The number of claims for a tank-related incident will be low. Let's get us a tank. Tackle boxes are my go-to, says Christoulis, in reference to the comment from Table of Horrors. It's a great idea. Yeah, quite a few guys I know use tackle boxes or tool boxes. Stafford, who is not online tonight, is actually off for a weekend with his young lad, actually uses an ammo crate. A very large ammo crate, actually, to put a lot of his hobby stuff into. Stores all of his 50mm tanks and scenery in it now. And you'd be surprised how affordable they are. If you go to your nearest military collection, you'll find that things like that are in so much supply. Is that the right word? Like, there's so many of them out there. You can pick them up very affordably. I can see you're laughing at my bridal carriage idea. Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember what we were talking about, but me and my uncle were talking about one. I thought that's a great idea. And it was my idea, so yeah. You could do like a Sherman. You could do a Kettengrad. That's where my original idea came from. Like a little universal carrier. That would be cool, right? Pulling a little pile of streamers made from German hand grenades behind it. M3 half track, Hanamag, all these ideas. Like a prom vehicle. That's cool, right? All your mates can chip together. Why turn up in a limo when you can turn up in a Panther? Do you know what? I live in Devon. Absolutely no way are you getting a Panther anywhere into any town. It's just not going to happen. So scratch the Panther. You'd be lucky if you get a Chaffee down our streets, really. Stay with your Sherman or your Lee. Why am I thinking about going to the big cats? got the opportunity very randomly one day to dress up as an American GI, go and do some street theatre, which I loved. It was great. A couple of my friends kind of rallied me into it. We had to go and be ghosts in the street of a previous time, playing chess as if we were GIs on break or something, on top of an upturned wooden milk crate, listening to some music on a wireless. And it was great. We had to ignore the public, and we were there kind of promoting a play or something. And other people would go and talk to people who were interested about what we were doing. And then, because we were generating quite a bit of interest, a reenactment family turned up who had recovered and restored an American Jeep and took us for a spin all across the county for the whole day. What a day that turned out to be. Played baseball on the beach and everything. Drummed up a lot of attention for the theatre that we were promoting for. It was great. Cool, that's another one done. Over there, lovely. Crumb says, Chinese takeaway rice containers, mystery mix, pure chaos. With bits of Chinese still in it, yeah. What's that weapon? Rice. Okay, cool. Special beef. Showing up to your child's first day of school in a Panzer, parent-teacher conferences, really anything child-related. Yep, love it. Parent-teacher evening. So, tell me how good my child has been. Right, got a bit more brass on the go there, a bit more retarded medium. Yeah, there we go. Just a bit of flow improver. The reason I use flow improver as well as retarded medium is because, like I say, that gel kind of aspect of the retarded medium, it kind of makes the paint a little stickier, and I don't want it to be stickier. So I just add that flow improver to sort of break that consistency down a little bit. And if it does run away with me a little, I can just add some thinner. And I might as well just use the airbrush paint in the first place. So yeah, whatever. There we go. I think brass was definitely the right colour choice. And when I dull it down a little bit with the Basilicanum grey wash, like you can see on the silver here, I think it's going to look quite nice and dark in a gritty sense. You want them to look quite scary. Not the sort of character you want to meet down at the end of a corridor. Corridor? Alleyway. Corridor? Please get out of my way. Okay. Toilet's just down there on the left. What gold or brass colour is that you're using? This is Brassy Brass from Vallejo's Game Colour range. And I've always wanted to use Brassy Brass because I think it's got a ridiculously hilarious name. And ever since Easy 8 started, several years ago now, I've always been calling it out Brassy Brass. I just think it's funny. I've got Tinny Tin as well. I've always wanted to use it, and I wanted something darker than gold. I wanted something quite rustic looking, I suppose. Didn't want the shininess. No, that's not the right word. I didn't want the heroicness that might be associated with gold. You know, kind of, there are sort of paladin connotations to it, like saviour kind of things. I want them to be intimidating. They're assassins, right? Ruststalkers. While the fury of the battle carries on, or in the whatever planet it is they're on, you would just one day be unalived by these guys. Sneaking up in the rust. Parking up at the lights and some boy racing twat revving his engine and just levelling the cannon down at the... Just be like, just don't do it, pal. Make your horn just a big boom sound for the giggles. Love that. Latest model Easy 8 for sale in the States though. 450,000 plus post. What's plus post if you've got 450 grand? But that's what I'm saying. Like 450 grand is not a lot of money when you're talking about the internet. If I'm not careful, before I know it, I'll have a tank on my doorstep. Yeah, I don't want that. I mean, I want it, but I don't know what I do with it. I don't know how to drive a tank. I don't know who I'd get to teach me to drive a tank. Where do you store it? Who do you get to do maintenance on it? Oh, there's so much to think about. I love that the conversation is still going on, though. It's making me a little nervous. A mobile painting club. We'll drive to your town in a tank and we'll paint together. When you push the trigger, a flag comes out at the end of the barrel and it says Easy 8 Painting Club. Or maybe the flag will come out at the end and it would say, help me, I'm in so much debt. I love the fact that my dad has managed to go out there and find somewhere selling tanks. That's great. Is there like an auto tank trader out there or something? Love it. You could park anywhere. Imagine the police trying to clamp tank tracks. I'm getting Killdays at flashbacks. Yeah, probably shouldn't joke about that. Has to play Ride of the Valkyries as loud as possible when the engine is on too. My friend years ago used to have a little 125 bike. It was like one step up from being a moped. You know, it was a real sterling little motor. It was faithful to him, but it was a real banger. And I remember being in the car. And he was following behind. I remember looking in my mate's mirror. I wasn't driving, and I called him on his phone, knowing that his ringtone was "Flight of the Valkyries." I knew that we'd be driving through town in the rain and in the wind. My mate giving it some serious revs, driving through town with "Flight of the Valkyries" playing. Hilarious! I'm such a funny guy. That's what he gets for having "Flight of the Valkyries" as his ringtone. But of course he couldn't answer it because he was on his bike, so it just carried on going. We all laughed. I'm a little bit concerned about this brass colour maybe clashing quite heavily with the orange on the leader guy just here. I wonder what everyone's thoughts are on that at the moment. Does anyone think that the brass would clash? I've overpainted on his arm a little bit there. Make sure I give good coverage on his ovals later on. Studios. One too many grown-up juice in eBay. What's the worst that could happen? I can tell you what's the worst that can happen. That very same friend with the moped and Flight of the Valkyries, drunk purchased a hot air balloon. So there's a lot more to that story that I probably shouldn't say on the stream. So if you want to find out more about the hot air balloon incident, come and join me on Discord at the Easy 8 After Party, because it's a lot funnier than that, actually. Yeah. And you know who you are if you're watching this. Like, I'm sorry, it's just so funny. Suffice to say, that a lot of trouble was caused. I've lived a fun life. If it was all to end tomorrow, it would be hilarious. There are some little bits in here that are quite hard to reach with this brass colour, and I'm not actually gonna sit here and struggle to get these little bits that, frankly, because there's so much stuff going on, you can't really see it unless you're looking for it, and if you're looking for it, well, you deserve to see my inadequacies. So yeah, I'm not gonna fret, because I was able to get a really decent coverage with the base silver. It'll blend in, so yeah, not overly worried about that. Another one of my attempts at trying to not be too precious about it. Like, if I can't see it here, who really cares? Just gonna wash my brush out one more time, I think. If we can get you to 1 million subscribers, can we make a goal to get you in one? Are you saying get me in a hot air balloon or to get me in a tank? Is what we're saying here? Clarify for me. Because yes. Shiv says, I've always wanted to board a long-haul aeroplane, take out one of my earphones as Ride of the Valkyries is playing, just for the reactions. Yeah, please do. Make sure that's on film, please. I want to run up and down a submarine with wet fish shouting, look at what I found. I think we're all losing the plot here. I'm dying over here. That's a good one, Crumbs. I don't know how I feel on a submarine. I'm a claustrophobe. That being said, I did go caving to kind of face my fears as a claustrophobe, and I had a great time. Didn't even trigger me, not in the slightest. Actually, got wedged in a crawl space and loved it. So yeah, maybe I'll be alright on a submarine. So we're actually, I'm having such a great time. I've actually lost track of the time. So what we need to do is we need to go for a break, don't we? Once I finish this guy's brass, I am one more to go with the brass after this. That's what I'm trying to say. Lost my train of thought. And I'm quite keen to just do something a bit more than just brass colour tonight. So what I'm going to do, rather than do the brass on the orange guy here right away, I'm going to do the other colours on them as well. I want to paint the crimsons on their faces because I think that looks quite nice. It lends them, the character that you want to see. It kind of makes them look like people. They have faces. Let's give them some faces. And I'm going to start painting the little bodysuits on them as well because it kind of just blocks in those colours. There's a real nice mixture of kind of warm colours, cool temperature colours, cool colours, warm colours, neutral colours. I quite like it. There's no thought that's gone into the layout of colours in accordance with the colour wheel or anything like that, colour play. I've just made it up as I've gone along, and to be honest, that's how I do most of my models. Maybe one day I'll do a project where I actually pay attention to colour theory a lot more. But today is not that day. Okay, look, there's 4. I finished the brass on them. We'll come back to that. Sam has joined us. Hi, Sam. How you doing, pal? Are you all right? We're having a bit of an evening. I'll let you join in the conversation. I'll bring you up to speed. We're talking about buying a real tank. It's a thing. We're talking about buying a real tank. It's getting a bit out of hand. There's a danger that it could actually happen. I'm trying to keep some control on it. Hopefully, by keeping the conversation going, we make it real and realistic, or we don't. Stafford's joined us. Hi guys, just a quick jump in. I'm away, so quickly logged in to say hi. I can be back next week for the show. Also, happy birthday. Yeah, called you out. Happy birthday. Hope you're having a lovely time with your lad. You enjoy your little holiday away. Sam says tiger. No, we can't have a tiger. If we buy a tank for the club, you cannot get a tiger down any of even the main roads in this area. I doubt pretty much anywhere in the UK, apart from maybe the motorway. And I don't want to go all the way to the motorway. I live about an hour away from the motorway just to go and see and play with my tank. Get me a smaller Allied tank. Oh, I've got it wedged in a hedgeway again. Getting vibes of Normandy all over again. Thanks, Danny. Yeah, mate, honestly, you got your present left here at my house. You came over to my house on Wednesday, someone bought him a present and you left it here by accident. It's here until you want to pick it up, mate. I hope you have a lovely time. Show us some photos of all the cool stuff that you're doing. I will very excitedly pour tea all over my shorts. Glad that happened on the live on the show. If you have a tank, who cares about roads? Certainly not my local council. Have you seen the state of the roads lately? Potholes everywhere. Anyway, look, this is going to turn into a political nightmare in a minute. I'm going to go and take... It's a tank, it makes your own roads. I'm going to go for a break. I'll see you in 10. Go change your paint water. See ya! And welcome back. Hope you had a good intermission. I went and got myself another grown-up juice. Cheers, happy weekend, and happy birthday, Stafford. Many happy returns. It's not the greatest song in the world. You know what I mean. While you were away, I reorganised all my paintbrushes, did a little tidying up. Actually feel good about myself for that. Oh, I've just found some more. I feel awful again. Cool, brilliant. Crumb Studio was saying, what's everyone's plans for tonight besides trying to convince Danny that buying a tank is a good idea? Yeah, please, let's just change the subject a little bit. What are you all working on this evening? Welcome back to the show. If you're new here, not a tutorial. It's just an area where we can come back at the end of a long working day, long working week, get together, make some friends, paint some models, paint up the hordes of grey plastic. That's what it's all about. So if you're working on the project this evening, I genuinely would love to know about it, not just as a distraction from the conversation of buying a tank, because I'm genuinely interested and I feel inspired and motivated by the works that you do. So if you want to share a picture of what you're doing, by all means, please do. You could drop on over to Facebook. There's a link down there. Put a picture up if you want to, or some pictures. If you want to come and join us at the Easy 8 after party after the show on Discord, you can put photos up there as well. We're actually getting quite a lot of photos. Excuse me, that's the beer coming back up. On both platforms, and that's great. Some people choose to be on Discord, some people choose to be on Facebook, some people do both. I love it. It's all there for you guys, and like I say, I genuinely am motivated and inspired by the stuff that you do. So come and show us and tell us all about the projects that you're working on. Shiv from Table of Horror says, I'm crumbing in a little painting before my sister and her family arrive later. Oh, that is nice. You're right, Crumbs. That is nice. Have the family over. I'm sure Kez said earlier on, building. Maybe you're making a building or painting a building. Tell us more about the building, Kez. Would love to know about it. Yeah. While you were away, I put some some brass paint on the little leader guy. There was actually a very small area to do because he's mostly covered by cloak. So all of the brass work, I think, touch wood, is done. So yeah, I obviously now had to go and stain it by putting some washes and things like that, but actually blocking in the colour is all done. Yay for me. Just before we go back to the workbench though, don't forget that if you haven't done so already, please do consider subscribing to the show. Not going to make you do it, I can't, and I wouldn't want to anyway. But it really does help the community grow, and if you enjoy what we do here, making the community grow is just a positive thing. Such a small, simple little thing. I've got something in my eye, I can't do it anymore. I don't know what it is, it needs to go. If you wouldn't mind subscribing, it would be great. The show's falling apart. I love it. It's great. Maybe you could do a thumbs up. I'd love a thumbs up. Share the word of EC8. Go tell a friend. Go tell a colleague. Bring someone along. That would be great. What is going on tonight? What? It is crazy. Oh, I don't know. My cat's also eviscerated a bird and it's in my kitchen. Gonna deal with that later on. Brilliant. Please subscribe. I'd love it if you did. Jeff says, but I found a Hetzer for sale. No engine. They want offers. I'm sure they do want offers. I can't make an offer. Stop it now. And what's the point of having a tank if you can't drive it around, eh? Maybe if we go and buy a smart car and just put the chassis of the Hetzer over the top. Just drive that around, right? That's what they did in Fury with the Tiger. They built a fiberglass replica and stuck it on top of a Jeep. Let's do that. Kez says, it's a building that I 3D printed. Nice skyscraper for my city terrain. Oh, photos or it didn't happen. I'd love to see that. Do you know what, though? I've been following your stuff. You've been sending some messages lately about the 3D print that you're doing for your Battletech dropship. And the print failed halfway through. It's such a shame. I didn't really get a chance to communicate how sad I thought that was. Sometimes prints fail and they turn into a mountain of spaghetti. It looks like you managed to catch it before you wasted too much filament. It's one of those things. Don't let that put you off from making a big 3D print. And if you want some top advice on 3D printing, there is another community that works alongside. I say works alongside. We're not really affiliated. We're associated. We know each other. A great bunch of guys at 3D Gizmo, and you would have met them, Kez. We've seen them a couple of times. We met them at the North Devon Model Show and the Southwest Model Show. Once at Park School in North Devon, and the other one at the Bovington Tank Museum. The last time we went, a great bunch of guys. There is a link to 3D Gizmo down there in the useful links setup thingy. Go and find them. Go find them on Facebook and start the conversation. This happened. How do I avoid that? What happened? These are my settings. This is my setup. How do you think it happened? What can I do to eliminate it? Because we know that the quality of their prints is unparalleled. Like it's crazy quality. A lot of their filament prints looks like it's been resin printed because you can't see the lines on them. And to dial in your printers that well, incredible, absolutely brilliant work. So go and have a chat with them, and they might be able to help you out, identify what caused that problem and how to eliminate it and avoid it in the future. Don't let a problem like that put you off doing big prints, because that's what it's all about, right? You've got a big print area, print big stuff. Yeah, sorry that it happened, because I've seen what it was supposed to be and it looks cool as. Shame though, right? Anyway, do you know what? Here we go. Back to the workbench. Yeah, I'm definitely in the mood for a beer. I've got the weekend off, so yeah, gonna have a late one, I think. So, they're all brassed. A very small amount of brass has gone into this guy in there. Can you see it? It is clashing with the orange quite a bit. I'm going to dial it down with some black wash. It'll be fine. So what I think I'm going to do now, just for the funsies, I'm going to paint their faces. So I've got a red face on here. I'm going to do the same on them all now. And then I'm going to do the black wash on them, and then I'm going to do the overalls. The reason I'm going to do it that way is I don't want any of the black wash to accidentally leach onto the blue areas for their bodysuits, their overalls, whatever, the clothing, garments that they've got. And the easy way to do that is to do the staining for the gold or the brass colours now. Also, see if that's actually something that works in terms of a colour setup. And then I can go over and do the overalls later on and paint over any areas where it would have leached onto. So, to do this, make sure that I've got a nice clean palette area. I've got some pigments in some of my palettes, and it never really goes away unless you wash it. So, Basilicanum Grey, a mixture of 50-50 water. Gonna give it a shake. A sneaky hand waz. Shouldn't have said that. And you can see how well it's mixing because the bottom turns to the proper colour. Cool. Gonna get me some drops of paint. I use a pipette so that I can measure precisely how many drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put the rest in there. Also means I don't waste any paint, which is great. And then I can do the same amount of drops of water, and that means that I'm going to get a consistent ratio every time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that creates quite a quantity. Jeff says, "A what?" Overlord says, "How did you get demonetized, Danny?" I have a hand. I see. I said a hand as lies on the live on stream. I thought you were genuinely asking. I was never actually monetized, but I see what you're saying. Yeah, I said hand was. Look, I haven't ticked the box that says it's safe for kids. By all means, bring your kids along. I'm not going to swear, but I will say sometimes some scandalous things. Yeah. The fact that he was smiling when he said it. Yep, you caught me, bruv. All right. Hand was. This show's fallen to the dogs, hasn't it? What is going on today? I mean, I've also realised that I've done the black before I've done the crimson on their faces. So, right. Okay, looks like we're doing this first. Let's see. I don't know how this is going to work. This dark grey or virtually black wash over brass. I should imagine it will work quite well. I'm looking for it to just soften it down, stop it being so bright, bring out some of the details in there, because like I say, there's some armour plates and things in there, and I want them to be sort of like identified, brought out a little bit by the shading. Again, I think I'm going to have to go to my smallest brush. It's a bit of a nuisance because I need a larger belly to hold a decent amount of paint. Yeah, so it stops me from going back to the palette time and time again, but I think I might have to. Yep, okay, I'm gonna make that decision now. I'm putting off doing a workout, but I can't watch it at the same time. Oh, I'm sorry, man. Like, don't let me stop you from doing a workout. Go keep yourself fit and healthy. But do you know what? I appreciate the fact that you're putting off your other plans to spend time with me. That's very kind. Oh, no, look. It does hold enough. It's okay. I was concerned that it's such a small brush that it might not hold enough liquid in there to make it a viable choice, basically. Trying to position the wash is also quite crucial. I can move it around and it will sit almost randomly. It will stick to the surfaces that it wants to. Should hopefully run into recesses. But there's some areas where I kind of want it to make a bit of a fake line, because like maybe the lines aren't as defined as I want them to be, to pick out plates and things like that on the armor. So kind of make sure that it creates a fake line. And do you know what? I really like that dulled down version of the brass. You can see it being quite a warm colour here. It stands out. It's a lovely colour. I like it. But if I bring this one in, you can see that it's just toned it down a smidge. And I like that. It brings in that gritty darkness that I was talking about earlier on. I'm reluctant to use the term grim dark. I'm not really trying to go for that. I'm trying to go for it in terms of an aesthetic at the end, but we use the term grim dark now when we're talking about painting for the specific technique of adding streaking grime, and clearly that's not what I'm doing. The whole point of 40k is grim dark. I really like that. That's good. Yay for me. Ooh, missed there, didn't I? Okay, a little bit on this face then, because we've got some crimson on there, and I want to see what that does to it. I might make a slightly stronger mixture, perhaps, because the crimson's quite a dark colour. But no, it seems to be working. What I'm really trying to get it to do here is add a little bit of shading around the outside of the face, so it looks like the red colour kind of pops out of the darkness. And I know that by doing that I'm going to lose a little bit of the red, so I'm going to have to come back in and highlight in an almost edge highlighting sort of fashion to bring that red back out again, but making sure that the black stays there. Wants to run a little bit on top of the smooth head that he's got, so I might just go straight to the pot and just pull a little bit out neat to make it a little bit more sticky and less runny. Thinking on the fly there. That's definitely worked, yeah. Painting it in quite deliberate areas, not just slapping it on and then hoping it runs into the right areas, because obviously it's not watered down at all. Apart from it maybe mixing in with the water that I've already applied to the model. A little bit of pooling on the side there is to be expected, so just making sure that I capture that. But again, I'm going to come back in with the red anyway. Okay, that's, I don't know if you can really see how well that's come out, but it's quite dark and menacing. I like it. Well, that's good news. Obviously I haven't done the crimson on the others yet, so for now it is literally a case of just staining up the brass. because I don't have any other colours on there yet, I can be quite slap happy with this. And that means it's going to keep the time down, which will keep me interested and motivated. This is just a really good colour for just sort of general washing. I recommend this mixture to anybody. I recommended it to Kez a little while ago. Started using this colour on all of the colours for her mech warrior, or sorry, her BattleTech armies, units, formations, and it works. It's just a nice unifying colour that you can apply to everything. Tones everything down, stops it looking a little bit too pop artish, and adds some nice, almost natural render. Creates like some artificial shadows and things. I like it. It's not a pure black, so it's not so potent, it's not so contrasting. When it dries, it does soften down a little bit as well. A little bit too much there on that bit there up top there. Pick that up again. There we go, that's nice. Yeah, I love that. That's cool. It's all going well, isn't it? Quite like they've all got this sort of Iron Man style effort in the middle of their chest. But I think I'm going to have to paint that and make it look like an Iron Man sort of energy core thing. What do they call it? What's Tony Stark's heart thing called? Arc reactor. There we go. God, I nearly sounded really old there. I'm an Iron Man fan. Just put that out there. Who's your favourite superhero? That's a good question for the group. Who is your favourite superhero? Also, if you're watching this back on the replay, don't feel that you just have to answer questions in the live chat. You can put it in the comments as well. Who is your favourite superhero and why? Are you envious of the power that they have? Maybe the alter ego that they have? Maybe the things that they do? Maybe you just like them because he wears his pants on the outside of his trousers. I don't know. I'm a Spidey fan. I like him because I like Spidey. He's always been my favourite since a kid. I used to have a couple of Spidey toys. I had a little bendy man Spider-Man, and I had an action figure Spider-Man, if I remember correctly. But I like him because he's a kid. And he's always preppy and happy. He's fighting the good fight for the right reasons. The everyday neighbourhood Spider-Man. And I like that. Kez says, not really a superhero, but the Guyver. Amazing. Would love his biosuit. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's cool. Not really a superhero in the conventional sense, but he is a superhero. He's not part of the well-known DC sort of Marvel universe, but it's still a superhero though, right? Table of Horror says, I've been a big Batman fan since the 90s with Nightfall storyline. With the Nightfall storyline, is that the Michael Keaton version? Or are we going into the sort of graphic novel area there? Guyver is a dark hero. Yeah, do you know what? I like that as a phrase. That's good. A dark hero. He's not an anti-hero, is he? He's not a villain doing the good work by accident or anything. He's dark hero. I dare say that in the Christopher Nolan's Batman. It was Christopher Nolan, wasn't it? He did like the recent trilogy with Christian Bale. That was a Christopher Nolan trilogy, right? Anyway, I dare say that throughout that trilogy of films with Christian Bale, Batman became a dark hero. Even into Batman vs Superman, when Ben Affleck took over. Batman uses a machine gun in the opening sequence to that. In my mind, that's a big no-no for Batman. I do love the fact that he gets stabbed, takes it like a champ, takes out the knife, and stabs back the person who stabbed him. That was fun. I was very reserved about Ben Affleck playing Batman, as I'm sure there are quite a few people. But do you know what? Sold. Loved it. I thought that he was a perfect next evolution for him. Nightfall was a comic storyline. Bane versus Batman. Bruce Wayne had his back broken. Bad guy took the mantle of the Bat. It was good stuff. Oh, cool. Love it. I didn't stay up to date with novels and comics, unfortunately. I know a bit about the comics. Go back to childhood times. I know a lot more about the Marvel comics than I do DC, and I do struggle to pick a favourite between Marvel and DC. I like them both for different reasons. I like the darkness, the grittiness of DC, but I don't like make-believe cities. I don't know why. Nah, just is. Oh, it's Metropolis. Oh, it's Gotham. There's so many good cities to set your stuff in. Your cities are all, your make-believe cities are all set in real-life countries. Just settle for a real-life city. Yeah. But I like the real-life cities in Marvel, but sometimes the slapstick comedy hero thing gets a bit boring. You know? Anyway. What is a good wash colour for yellow, please? Depends totally on what you're looking for, but I would go with browns. Now, different types of browns will give you different effects. I use browns on my Tyranids. I use a combination of Seraphim Sepia. Give that a shake. You can see at the bottom where it's settled that it's very, very dialed into the warm colour tones. If I give that a shake, that redness will kind of go away and leach into the brown. Give you very, very warm. These are quite transparent colour as well. If I go more to Agrax Earther Shade, it's still a brown, but it's very, very dark. It's a lot cooler. This is a very powerful brown, and I would, if you want to filter out of it, I'd water it down a little bit. And it's very good for doing dark recesses. This is very good as a filter. I used to use this on my Tyranids back in the old recipe of it. Moved to this one to get nice filters and recesses, and I found that it made my yellows a little too soft, a little too comic-y almost. It made my Tyranids look a little bit too child-friendly, if that makes some sort of sense. So I am looking at going back to using Agrax and just trying to up my standards a little bit to make my Tyranids look a little darker and grittier. Yes, browns, really good for yellows. That being said, orange is also a really good wash for it. If you've got a little bit of patience, if you haven't bought the paint already, you go and find, I think it's called Cassandora Yellow. It is the Citadel yellow from their contrast range, and it is a brilliant one-stop shop yellow. When I had started painting my Tyranids, I wish that I had just been using Cassandora. I'm sure it's called Cassandora Yellow. I wish I'd been using that from the start, because one application of that over a bright white base will give you everything you're looking for in your yellow. It is probably the best contrast paint for doing what contrast should do. So go check that out. Crumb says Death in the Family is a good Batman graphic novel. Shiv, then Azrael took over a good series. That's the one. Azrael had a good costume. Yeah, I don't know that series. Azrael, good name though, right? Leader of the Dark Angels. Just saying. Oh, franchise crossover. Oh, Batman versus Dark Angels. Interesting. Right, so I've toned down the brass. I love that. That's brilliant. That is what I had in my head. Gritty, oily, greasy looking brass colours. Fantastic. Right, let's leave that behind and move on over to my crimson. Oh, that's a scarlet. Well done. Here it is. Crimson. It's Game Air's gory red. I call it crimson. It's just a dark red, right? Give that a shake. My brightness levels are very bright today. Oh, no, they're just all over the place. Okay, cool. Why not? Give that a good shake. I'm not going to say it again. All right. Here we go. Just a little dot there. Now, I'm using the airbrush one here. It's got pretty good coverage. I'm going to use my tiny little paintbrush. And I'm just going to... It'll take a couple of coats because it is a thin red. And red's not got a very strong pigment. Certainly better than orange. And I'm also painting over silver, which is notorious for not being a good base colour. But it's only a small area. It's a very easy area to paint. It's got a nice silver outline. Going a bit heavy with it. So it should cover probably in about 2 coats, and I'm okay with that. That's why I don't mind using these really watery airbrush paints for brush paints. Because, well, when you use a brush paint, you've got to water it down anyway, right? 2 thin coats, etc., etc. So, use a watery paint. Shots. Sometimes I don't look at the screen enough and I don't know if I'm actually painting in front of the camera. Okay, that's good enough for the first coat. Just pop him down there. I'm still worried about the bend in some of the swords I got there. I'm going to have to really use my brain on those. It's getting warm in the studio. Oh dear. Started off as quite cool. It's getting quite sweaty now. So on Wednesday I was working in the outdoors, helping my team by going out there in the field and delivering my activity sessions with them, helping cover some staff shortages, as is always the case. And I went out to do a little zip wire session with some kids, and no sooner had I got into the field, the sun just came out, and my god, it was so hot. And I know that it's probably not that hot in the grand scheme of things, but after a long period of cold, wet or overcast and calm, cloudy days, a moment of intense sun, oh my goodness, I couldn't escape it. You know when it's so hot it feels like you can almost hear it? Like I could just hear the intensity of the heat. I think I've fried my brain smooth. And ever since then, oh dear. It's been a bit warm and a bit muggy as you often expect it to be, but I don't know if anybody else found that Wednesday was just a little offensive is the way that I'm gonna explain it. And I was thinking to myself, God, I hope it's not this hot on Friday, because I know that my studio just bakes in the sun. So I'm right up here in the attic, and yeah, like the sun rises on one side of the house and as it just goes over, just bakes the house all day. I'm standing there like, I have to open up both windows and put the fan on just to get some airflow in here. But actually, it's not been that bad today at all. Yeah, it's another one done. They're looking really smart. I'm really happy with these guys already. It's nice when you just get a paint scheme and you're just doing it and you know that it works, or it's just coming together really well, and you don't have to go to great lengths to recover it because you took an idea for a walk and it's not working. Just gonna watch my brush outs get a bit thick there. Crumb says Gen 13 by Image Comics is also a good read as well. I've never heard of that. I really love doing Transformers. Again, I've got this little heart icon just in front of some of the words there, so I can't quite read what Shiv's written. Let me just my biometrics have not worked. Okay, great, thanks. Does it recognise my face, did they? If I just nip over to YouTube, I might be able to read the comments over here. I really loved IDW doing Transformers. Who's IDW, please? Thanks, Dad. Cheers. That's actually really helpful. Do that, please. But it's okay. I've got it on my phone. I can see the side. Also, a big Transformers fan as a kid, growing up as well. How do we talk about the Michael Bay series? I was into the first film when it was released because it's the first thing we've had ever that's live action, I suppose. And there was so much potential for it. And while I think they missed the mark horrendously, it was still entertaining to watch. I really liked Blackout in the opening scene at the Qatar Air Base. That was just really, really sinister. An unstoppable machine. Just smashing stuff up. Doing what Decepticons do. That was really cool. Didn't like what they did with Optimus Prime. I didn't like what they did with most of the robots, to be fair. I didn't like the slapstick comedy in it. I thought that the robots themselves were just over-engineered for the screen. Too many explosions. Or was there? One shall stand, one shall fall. I love that they had the Optimus voice in there, Peter Cullen. Do you know what? I thought Megatron's voice was really cool. Really liked Megatron by Hugo Weaving. That was excellent. Loved it. And then after that film, there were a few bits that I liked. I liked Ravage. I thought he was really cool. I liked what they did with Soundwave because, let's face it, Soundwave was a product of the 80s and he was a cassette player. How do you do that in the modern world? You turn him into a satellite. Loved it. Absolutely brilliant. And that's where it really stopped for me. And I just thought it was just terrible. Terrible scripting, terrible screenplay. Whilst the special effects were very clever, I thought that was too much and you couldn't really see what was going on. The robots were too busy. Whatever happened to... Oh, I can't remember his name now. What was the police car Decepticon that just disappeared one day? Oh, I forgot what it's called. Come to me later. Someone's going to tell me in a minute. If you read the novel, because there was a novel that was based off of the original script, you find out what happens to him. But it just disappears in the movie. He's just no longer there. The same Transformer skins get overused a lot. Ah, yeah, just thought it was a lazy film. Bumblebee film was very good. Liked that. That was a happy medium. I'd like them to start it all over again, please. Because I always find myself going back to the 1986 musical movie. And it is a musical. Barricade. Thank you. Barricade. Yeah. And he gets his back broken by Optimus Prime. Kills him outright. But you don't see it in the movie. Yeah. Cool. Look, we've got some faces. We've got some brass bits. As the evening carries on, because we are only about 10 minutes away now from the end of the show, I'm going to carry on after the show and start blocking in all the blue-grey colour for their like overalls, bodysuits if you like. Get all those blocked in, and when that's all dry, I can come in and make an application of this stuff over the top. This is the army painter stuff is a really good it's a good quality paint. I find that it's a little heavy, and I'm gonna try and like water it down a little bit. When I was applying it to this guy, it took a lot of effort to get it to go where I wanted it to. It's almost sticky. It just wants to stick down as a filter. I want it to kind of cluster a little bit, so I'm gonna try and break that surface tension down so that it runs into some of the creases on his trousers, etc. Oh, excuse me, I've got the hiccups. Yeah, but very small areas to paint it into as well, because, well, he's an amputee, isn't he? So you've got to put it in the right place, make it look like it's good. But then there's some smooth places on the back of his head or whatever, where actually I do want a bit of a filter. The reason I've used these colours, it was a lot of testing to get the colours right. But I actually painted my original guys, these guys here, from a picture in the Adeptus Mechanicus book, the Codex, and I was able to match the colour perfectly. It took a couple of goes, but I painted it with this colour and then just put the blue wash over top, and that is exactly the same colour that's in the artist's impression in the book. So yay for me, that's why I do it. But I want the blue to kind of gather together into the creases to kind of make it look like it's got some shadow and etc. in there. It just comes out a little bit shiny. It's got a bit of gloss to it, so I need to matte it down later. So yeah, there's that. So without further ado, I will. Oh no, I can still paint the red on this guy. Oh, do you know what? Shut up, Danny. Let's get some red in this guy. Keep leaving him behind because he looks different. Prowl was not in the live-action film, says Kez. It was his name in the cartoon. Oh, look at that. We've got a couple of Transformer experts. I love this conversation. Barricade is a Decepticon, but it was not Prowl. Sorry, that sounds negative. No. You get your Transformer conversation on. Love it. I have to get stuff ready. Have a great week, everyone. Thank you for the stream. Take care, mate. Have a lovely evening. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you have a lovely time with your family. See you next week, pal. Yeah, don't get like upset about being passionate about your knowledge about the things that you're interested in. If it sounds childish, who cares? But yeah, don't come across as negative. It didn't come across as negative. If you know, you know. Just cite your sources, right? I don't remember the cartoon Barricade or Prowl, so yeah. Who found the twins offensive? That was unnecessary. That was, yeah. What was that all about? See what I mean? Just poor screenwriting. And they had such a chance to play it right with Devastator. And it was just awful. Yeah. Missed so much potential. And then, of course, my all-time favourite, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Rest in peace. Yep. Kez's comment there. It was unnecessary, wasn't it? I really, really hate Bayformers. Yeah, man. Like I say, I got behind the first one for a while. The more I watch it, the more angry it makes me. To the point where I've had to stop watching it, obviously. It's just a perfect story of a missed opportunity, isn't it? dokie. Right. That crimson was a bit hard to paint inside his head there. Might have to come back and give that a bit more attention later on. But again, I've just realised I've also missed out the black wash on his armour, on his chest. So I'm going to go back and get a bit of that. Pick that up. We'll try and apply it gently because I don't want it to go onto the orange. So just going to take my time, get that in there. And that is some clashing colours. I don't have a problem with it all clashing in there because there's so little of the brass colour showing in here. And I might be able to try and separate it a bit later on. Maybe when the blue colour goes in for his legs and the waist, it might make it stand out a bit more. If there was as much brass on the other ones as there is on the other ones on him, then I probably would have considered painting it a different colour. And just going, oh, he's a leader. He's a different colour, because that's quite busy in there, isn't it? I'm applying a little bit more shade than normal, just to make it not so out in your face. Going in with a wet brush now, clean wet brush, just trying to lift up some of that staining because it's gone in a little bit heavy there. There we go. That's working for me. That's nice. It just seems to blend away in the orange in a minute, but hopefully when I apply a brown shade to the orange, it'll all tone down, tame down. There's a lot of clash in there, but of course you're not going to see them like this. You're mostly going to see them like this. So, whatevs. That's what happens when you choose all these colours, isn't it? But these guys are looking really, really cool. That brass colour is really toned down. It's not jumping out in your face at all. It's lending to that sort of grittiness. That red's really standing out as well. Love that. Yeah, I've got these guys over here as well. Wonderful. Really, really cool. So tonight, for the rest of the evening, basically now over on Discord, I'm going to carry on blocking in their blues, get them all done, and then I suppose I'm really starting to get more into the details on them. There's a lot of details on them. It's about picking out the right ones. Like we were talking about earlier on, you know, it being easy to kind of get lost in details and overdoing it. So I'm just going to make sure that I pick out the right ones. I've got my original Skitari guy here for reference, so I'm going to be using his backpack as a good reference here. Going, okay, what's silver, what's black, what's gold, etc. And trying to copy that. Their backpacks are a little bit different, so there's a little bit more going on, some cables, whatever. There's a few lights and things on them, and the model that I don't have right here does have a little light on his on top of his backpack. It's a little green light. I might try and be bold and do a little OSL, see how I feel on that one. I'm going to try and pick out some gold features, just moving away from the brass tones a little bit, so maybe some things around the hydraulics, some little details and things on the backpack, and I'm going to try and bring out all the piston rams with the bright silver. The swords, I think, because in the book it says that they're transonic swords. I don't care how nerdy that sounds, it sounds cool. The idea is that they vibrate at a frequency that allows them to cut through most materials. And apparently they're supposed to glow slightly blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint them a bright silver. I like the way that the black wash I've done on them has kind of settled on them, because you can see if I bring it up closer, you can see it's kind of settled into this natural little pooling at the bottom. Normally I avoid pooling, but I think that looks quite nice just there. So I might try and do that again once I've painted them bright silver, and then I'm going to get a watered down blue, maybe even the blue ink that I use for my glow effects, and I'm just going to paint a layer of that over the top of them just to kind of give it a blue tint. I just think that might be nice. It might just make it stand out a little bit from the rest of the model, and you go, glowing blue transonic swords. As we all know, they glow blue. That's my thoughts on that. Yeah. Anyway, going to come away from here now. Oh, beer. How lucky. A really productive evening. Got a lot done there. As I was painting all the brass about halfway through the show, I thought, of course, it's taking a long time to do that. But it's quite difficult trying to get that colour in and around behind the backpacks and some of the arms. And I say the pre-built models, and I can't complain about that because they were a gift to me. So just trying to keep the pace moving, trying to make sure that my quality doesn't drop, and where possible, try and find those little areas where I can just kind of forget about doing the difficult thing. Just try not to be precious about it, like trying to get that brass colour in behind some of the details. If I can't see it, it doesn't matter. I don't need to get in there. Really saving me some time. So a lot of the efforts that I've been trying to practice over the last few years are actually starting to come into fruition, which is great. The colours are working for the most part, and what's up here is translating onto the model, and that is the artistic nature, isn't it? Most people have an image in their head of what they want to see. I think an artist's true talent isn't necessarily about making good things down here. It's just about translating what's in your mind's eye into the physical medium in front of you. And I find that quite exciting. I find that the challenge. And what is happening here is what's in my head. And that's really cool. Because I quickly glanced through my book earlier on and was like, oh, I think I want these colours, roughly. And yeah, it's working. It's working really well. So hopefully, just a couple more weeks and I'll have these guys done. Depends on how much time I get to spend in them in my free time, I suppose. Anyway, enough on me. If you've been working on a project this evening, I'd love to know how it's been going. So if you're so inclined, please do take a photo. Put it up on Facebook, where we are also hanging out sometimes. Maybe if you're hanging out on Discord, you can put a picture up there as well. There's lots of pictures being put up on both of those platforms. And you can check out all the stuff that we post up on Facebook, Instagram, Discord. Links to all the platforms are just down there in the description. I'm genuinely interested in the stuff that you're doing. So if you are working on a project, come and tell me about it. I read everything that comes in, and I try my best to respond to everything. So yeah, do share with me your projects, because I'm genuinely inspired by you. Yeah, I hope you've had a productive evening. I hope you haven't bought me a tank, or yourselves a tank. If you've bought yourselves a tank, you haven't bought me a tank, then I'll be upset, alright? Let's not buy a tank. Not yet, anyway. Let's get a few more subscribers. Yeah? Cool. In the meantime, stay safe until next week. Be kind, be safe, keep on painting, and I'll see you soon. Take care now. Bye-bye. I rushed the end of that. I should have said, please subscribe. I'd love it if you would. And you can come and join me on Discord in just a few minutes. See you later. Bye-bye. Oh, look at that. An Easy 8 Sherman on eBay. £450,000. Add to cart.